And we are live. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Ashley and I are so happy to be here and that you're watching us live or recorded. Either one, thank you for watching. Hey, Ashley.
Hi.
Sorry, I got you right in the middle of a drink.
Yeah. I'm happy to be
Yeah,
here.
yeah, thanks. Well, we're all about the galactics and our galactic heritage, and bringing through as much as possible to help us lift up as much as we can. So, Ashley, I'll let you go first. If you could share a little bit about yourself and what brought you on this
Sure.
path and where you are.
So for those of you that don't know me, I am Galactic Ashley, and I channel divine guidance for starseeds, connecting them to their star families and their galactic lineages. I use light language frequencies and work with your cosmic connections to facilitate high frequency healing transmissions and encoded activations. I facilitate and create these 9-week courses called the Galactic Guided Intensives. And we're in the middle of a light language course right now, which is going really well. And I also have a quantum integration coaching program that the next round of people is starting this next week, and there's still 2 slots available. So if anybody's interested, you can go ahead and reach out or sign up for a free discovery session, and let me know how you found me, and you get a discount if you come through Sharon. So that's what I have going on. And I'm a channel, and I love teaching. So I've been able to merge those 2 things together.
Yay. Awesome. Thanks, Ashley.
Mhm.
And for those who don't know that much about me, I am a psychic medium, hypnotherapist, or I have a practice as a psychic medium hypnotherapist. I also teach courses through the Kumara Academy. And I just love what I do. I feel so blessed. And Ashley and I have known each other now for what,
Mhm.
gosh, many
Yeah.
lifetimes.
Yeah.
Since our galactic counterparts,
Mhm.
but in this lifetime, what, 7, 8 years, 8 years or
Yeah,
something like
I
that?
think so. Mhm.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So, yeah, I started having experiences I was having experiences as a child, but didn't remember then until after my near death experience in 2001. And I have, I was just telling Ashley that I'm being communicating, or I shouldn't say communicating, but interacting with extraterrestrials to this day in the liminal state, remembering being there with them, that type of thing. So I know that a lot of people who are probably interested in this are as well, because we're getting so close to mm, full disclosure, and I feel that it's happening little by little, and it has to happen little by little because not everyone is ready for it. I know I wasn't ready to see these beings full blown right in front of me. So they have to. What I was have been told for quite a while now, we have to be ready because it's a different paradigm. It's different than what we're used to, and it can leave us feeling, or it well with me, as soon as I see with someone that an extraterrestrial, whoever, what we are, non-terrestrial, galactic being, whatever you want to call it, that doesn't look like what we're used to, I just faint and don't remember it. So yeah, I think a lot of us do that. Yeah. What about you, Ashley? Do you have? I mean, I know you're in contact with galactics all the time. So do you see them in your mind's eye, or see them in your rooms, or anything in your room or anything?
Sometime, well, that's a good question. I know, I guess I don't know what is going on, but our things just switched.
Oh, I do.
Okay. I was like, what's happening? Sorry, technology the last few days has been really strange, and I normally don't have an issue with it. They're just like little glitches in the system.
Yeah, I think it's
Um,
been like that for a lot of people.
yeah. So I wouldn't say like I am here and there at the same time is sort of what it feels
Right.
like. So, like, so I started getting, I don't feel very well today. And like yesterday, I started just like snot and congestion and kind of all of these things were happening. And so I was, the Anubis Collective came in last month and I've been kind of working with them again. And the last time I think we hung out was maybe like 2017 or something. So it's been a while. And I was just like, can you please help me? So it's like they're there, but it's not like they're literally in my bedroom. So I feel like when depending on the frequencies of the beings, when we're seeing them, we're sometimes seeing like a projection of them and feeling their energy at the same time. And then certain frequencies of beings can, like, Yetis, Sasquatch, and a lot of other beings that can be more interdimensional, can sort of blip into our frequency, I feel, if that makes sense. So generally, if the dragons are showing up, it's like I feel them and they're like here, but they're not like in my living room, even
Yeah.
though when I tune in, they're in my living room.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense because it's hard for us to wrap our head around the fact that we are in many frequencies. And would you agree that it would be frequencies that we're um, in, that we are multidimensional, so we're in different frequencies and we are interacting with them also in another frequency. And so the more we become aware of that, the more we heal what's, and what's helping us to raise our frequency, the more aware we are in the higher frequencies where they can interact with us on a more conscious level. We become more conscious of that frequency with them. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I think so. I was trying to figure out like if like in and you can probably talk about this better, but like in your out of body experiences, you have very more visceral maybe experiences with them, but I feel like we can be out of body in body. And maybe that takes practice because I'm still in my body doing things. I mean, I can go in a really deep meditative state and sort of be somewhere else. So I guess all of this is to say that um, a lot of people feel blocked when they say, "Oh, the imagination. It's just my imagination." If you can move through that and believe in what you're imagining and really feel what's happening, the more you can move and maybe you can say connect to multidimensional aspects of yourself that are existing in other dimensions so that you can be more present with these beings. And yeah, I don't really there isn't a lot of separation between all of this, and when people say the veils are thinning, a lot of times those veils are sort of, I just think of it like amoeba or really thin skins to sort of keep our consciousness here because we did choose to be a human and to be embodied. So we are meant to have this experience. And maybe
Yeah.
for most of us, we might be consciously elsewhere if we didn't really have this sort of focus container, a container of focus to be
Right.
here, feel this, so that when we're healing out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. This bodily container, the container we have here, is that what you're talking about? This
Yeah, I like the body, but
body?
also
Yeah.
this dimensional experience that we are
Okay.
having. Because
Okay.
sometimes I reach out, like I identify as being from another universe, and so sometimes I wonder things about that universe, and I frequently brought back into this universe, right? And then it
Right.
just gets popped down into this body, into this lifetime, into I'm a human, and this is
Mhm.
where I am, while also knowing that we can communicate and connect with other beings and aspects of ourselves to help us with this body in this lifetime. in this dimensional plane.
Right, because
Yeah.
this dimensional plane is a really heavy, slow, slow frequency, a lot heavier and slower than what we're used to, and our soul is used to, and that's what makes it so challenging, and what gives us probably the most growth, right? So, as long as that's our plan, uh, but that's what I understand, and so we end up with the bulk of our focus in a body here is because of the slow frequency and the denseness of this reality. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes.
It's kind of like what when our body is hurting, our focus goes to whatever is the heaviest in our body, which would be something that is getting our attention or is um, heavy, slow, slow, slow vibrating, slower
Hmm.
vibrating. Yeah, that's how I see this body and this frequency in this realm. And as we move up in frequency, we're able to merge more with our other existences and other realities.
Right. And what I'm getting right now, and part of what I was thinking about actually was density in the body, mostly because I don't feel well and I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
want this. But I know that stuff is being released as it is for a lot of people right now, especially with all the solar flares and everything. But I was thinking a lot about before we got on about this idea of the I am presence and the ego part of being human. So of course the ego needs to be cleaned up a lot, right? And I don't know, I don't know if we've talked about this before, but the idea of killing the ego isn't it's not something that I necessarily align with. But we
Either.
can clean up our ego. But part of the challenge is, especially for people that have more memories about being in the we or being parts of a consciousness energy field, it can be really challenging to be an I. And so there's this delicate dance and balance that we are always in about sort of being a we and also being an I. And it's very, very important to be an I. And I find that when you can really channel the I am human, I am this, then what happens is when we are interacting and engaging with other vibrational planes, other dimensions, however you like to look at it, then we are phase matching with different frequencies. And so when we do that, sure, we're increasing our energy, and this how we can channel. But the sort of image that they show me is, let's say that we're a square and we are connecting with a triangle that's pointed up. Then what we're doing is we merge with this square and this triangle, and then together we make a shape of the house. So if you have a really weak I am presence and you think very lowly of yourself and you see another being, if those beings really came here, we would literally get sucked up into them because we have lost a lot of our sovereignty, and our sovereignty is dependent on like this I am presence. So what we want to do is we want to make the shape of the house, and we connect and we communicate and we're like la di da, and then these vibrations move past each other. We retain our square shape and they retain the triangle, and we have communicated, and all of their energy goes them, all of their energy goes with them, and all of our energy stays with us, and it doesn't matter about the dimensional plane. And that's how sound waves and how vibrations work, and we are the same. So when we strengthen and spend time on healing our body and healing our egoic structure and recognizing that we are more than the body and more than the mind, but that we have this very powerful I am presence, which is a lot about what Yeshua talked about, is like, I am God because I am God and Sharon is God and we are all God. So namaste, right? Like, I see the God in you, you see the God in me. And so much of that is really necessary, and it can be really challenging for star seeds and for a lot of people that come in with the memories of the we. And this has been a really big challenge for me is I prefer to be a we, and the beings make me say I a lot, and it's really hard. And I've been working on that a lot for the last 2 years. And I know that the stronger that I am with that, the more that I can see, the more beings that I can connect with and move through, even ones that don't quite resonate with me, because I will retain my shape, and then we will connect and make some, sacred geometric shape, and my piece out of that geometry goes away, and then I am staying here. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah. I understand what you're saying about the having a hard time saying I, because I use we a lot too when I'm uh, talking about working in this realm, and it reminds me of the Ra teachings because Ra says I am Ra, even though
Yeah.
they admit to being a collective,
Mhm.
right? So yeah, that's a conundrum for here,
Mhm.
right? Right. Uh,
It's like we have to clean up our eyes before we can become a
we
we.
before yeah.
Mhm. And connect to the tribal one, tribal unity, right? Because when the more that we're able to claim the I, then we can merge into the I am tribal, because I am human, I am of the human tribe, I am tribal, and then I am the tribal one. And then once we can connect to this tribe, it's like then the ascension process is included in humanity, and then I am one,
Hmm.
right? So
Right. Yeah. And
we have a lot of
that's
work
what
to
it
do.
all comes down to. What? What?
I said we have a lot of work to do.
We have a lot of work to do, definitely. But that's what
Yeah.
it all comes down to is I am one. We are one to moving from we are one to I am one. Just like I was telling Ashley earlier, I was working on my book and I'm writing a book and I'm so proud of myself for working on finishing it because I've been working on this is my first book. I've been working on it for over 10 years and I'm finally dedicating myself to do it. And so I was, and as I write about experiences, I just start diving deeper into them as I'm writing about them, and because we forget over time how profound they are, and then we unpack as we go, and with any of us, right? Unpack as we go and dive deeper, or just start thinking about it or start revisiting it because I'm right there it and going back to what you were saying is in one experience where I'm floating above my bed and I'm totally surrounded by light and the light fills me up and I'm realizing that every my whole body is smiling. Every part of me, every cell within me is smiling. I'm one big huge smile. That's how joyful and blissful I feel. And then I have this awareness that every cell within me is intelligent, has an intelligent awareness. Every cell within me is pure light. We are pure light, and every cell within me carries light, is light. And then I think, what have we done? I have that thought as me here. What have we done to dim this light within ourselves? Because every cell is light. I was so filled up with light that I knew that every trillions of cells within me, the I am that I am,
Hmm.
was pure light, which was pretty cool. I mean, it was like very profound to have dive into that awareness again. And it reminded me of when I have one of those inversion um,
Hmm.
chairs, back things. And sometimes when I'm laying there and I bring my focus in as I'm looking at the sky because I have it outside under the awning thing, and I look up at the sky. Because of the light, I can see the little cells moving around in my eyes. Little cells. And my
Hmm.
dog, Breezy, my dog likes to. come up and lick my face or whatever while I'm upside down, and I noticed this when I'm petting her, and I was petting her, hanging upside down, petting her, and I could see the little cells in my eyes light up and move faster and faster and faster as I was petting my dog. That was cool.
Mm-hmm. Dogs are the best.
I was lighting up. I'm sure she was lighting up. Every cell was lighting up and
Mm-hmm.
just getting all excited, lighting up and getting all excited. So that was cool. There's so many little things around us that we take for granted. We don't know what makes everything tick, and it's all about light. So onto the galactic updates. Would love to hear we would love to hear anyone's experiences. If you had any recent experiences or anything like that, or any questions, go ahead and throw them out there. Any comments? So we've had since we talked last, we've had a lot going on, right, Ashley? In the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in the world of off world, on world, that realm. So those balloons that were flying around that we shot down, I guess. One thing I noticed about that, and what I was getting from my peeps, was that and this is what I get, who knows, that this was this endeavor, this project, whatever it is, this was a way, a means for our government to start soft disclosure because General Van Herk, I think his name is, the head of NORAD, did during a press conference, he did admit and say that they can't rule out extraterrestrials. He doesn't know what they are, which, come on, but they can't rule out extraterrestrials. I believe that this is all a planned, this is part of the disclosure. And people like us already know, but people who um, perhaps don't know or on the fence or something like that uh, need soft disclosure. So I also understand, and this has been predicted and told to us for a long time since that Nazi scientist what was his name? That we brought over from Germany in Operation Paperclip, the scientist. He said on his deathbed that the powers that be are going to the last la- the last kind of like last stand would be the powers that be are going to create a false flag with extraterrestrials, meaning create a scenario of negative extraterrestrials. Does that, what are you getting on that, Ashley?
Well, I haven't been paying attention to the balloon, although I was visiting my parents and we were watching something, and my dad blurted out something about like the Chinese and their balloons, and I was like, "What?" So something must have happened, and I wasn't privy to it.
Yeah.
um, because I feel like I've been again working on the eyes, so I haven't been looking up at the sky lately. But as far as false flags are concerned, I mean, the quote unquote powers that be, or anybody that wants to have power over, they did this with the dragons. Like there's reptilians that look like dragons for a reason. Like dragon DNA isn't the same as reptilian DNA.
Right.
You take the good thing and you make something bad that looks just like the good thing. And so this is whatever is going on, it almost doesn't even matter because it only matters. And I think this is really the power of what this year is going to be about and what is going on and why there's like we've been working with solar flares, or I say we've been working with. Over here, I have been working with the solar flares. Maybe you don't want to work with them, but they are happening. So I suggest working with them. um, and
Well, I
getting in
think
this.
we have to work with them whether we like it or not,
Well, right,
because
but some people don't
they're
want
they're
to.
here. They're here.
Yeah,
I can't imagine not wanting to. I mean, yeah, we
yeah,
have to work with it. They're here.
yeah. Well, because it brings up stuff, and it's bringing up
Yes.
a lot of stuff, and it's these are not regular. These are not regular energies that are coming in. They are it like the volume is getting turned up, so it
Right.
cannot be ignored. And so where was I going with all of this? Though the point of all of this is that the more that we can work with the solar energies that are coming through to work on ourselves to be as clear as possible, and to allow our empathic states of being, which are natural states of being, the feeling. To me, the feeling is the only true way to discern anything, because anything can look like something else. Maybe taste and smell or something are definitely different. I don't think the beings can't hide smells. And but again, these are all sort of feeling senses, right? Sound can be distorted, visuals can be distorted, but the more that we can clear our own bodies and our own selves and our cells so that they can be the biophotonic cellular structure that they are, the better that we can discern. And the beings have been talking about discernment for a really long time. And this year is really about emotional activations and activating the emotional body. And our cells and everything in us is water. So I imagine this to be a particularly different type of challenging year, and for us to be able to discern a
Discern.
balloon from a different balloon, or from a false to a true, and to be very aware when groups of people do start to come together and say one thing, like to make sure that when you're joining anything, to join with clarity, and to also unjoin,
Yeah.
to leave and not have pride kind of in the way, because
Right. If something doesn't resonate, and if it's based on fear, right, then that might not be something that you want to be a part of, because fear is the enemy. And and so what I understand is this supposed false flag that might become, that it looks like it's, I mean, there's so much information out there about um, from different areas about the false flag of extraterrestrials, attacking us and that kind of thing. If they were gonna attack us and hurt us, they would have done it, or wipe us out. They would have done it already, is my opinion. They've had lots and lots of chances, but I understand that they've uh, um, how do I put it? Uh, that's not going to happen, is what I understand. So what we have to do is use our discernment, like you were saying, right, and make sure that we are able to see through anything that just doesn't feel right. Have you heard of Project Bluebeam?
I
Um,
don't think so.
so it's a real thing. Uh,
Tell me,
it's, pardon me?
tell me about it.
Okay, so it's something our government apparently has. I mean, it's a real thing. Anyone can look it up. It's something our government has used to project holographic images in the sky, that type of thing. It's been going
Oh,
on for a while,
yeah,
right?
cool.
Yeah. So that's people in the conspiracy theory world can uh, determine, or are talking about, that is probably the best way for this false flag to um, to be shown, that kind of thing, to try to scare people, right? Yeah. um,
It's pretty fascinating. I mean, it makes sense, right? Like they're going to use holographic.
why
uh,
not? I mean, if you
I mean,
look, go ahead.
no, no. I mean, I just, even on social media, I see things and it's AI, and I'm like, wow, how did they get that dragon to do that in China around that thing? And I'm like, oh, that's whatever. It's some kind of AI thing. And I'm like, that is so cool because it looks so real, right? And I
Mhm.
mean, and that's kind of where we're headed in a way. And again, discernment, is that real or not real? And
Right.
now it makes me more grateful. To me, when you interact with a purely holographic image, maybe something that's just sent to scare you, and I had this experience where I was doing a clearing, and this was like a while ago. It was during the fires in Australia. Somebody was wanting a clearing from some kind of reptilian technology that was in their system. So I was doing some drawing for her and clearing something out of her. And all of a sudden, all of these reptilians showed up outside my house, like looking in the window.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's weird. Those dragons aren't going to let anything in here. And I look, and it started to flicker, and I'm like, oh, that's just a hologram. Like, there's nothing to it. And I've had other like hologram or holographic hologram experiences here. And there is, again, this all goes, there's no emotion to it. I even had my
Mhm.
higher self project a hologram of something in my living room a long time ago. And I kept seeing it out of the corner of my eye. And I was like, what is that? And it was like in the dining room. And I was like, I'm gonna run through it. And I just like held my breath, and I like walked through it, and there wasn't I didn't feel anything. And then I like put my arm like where this energy is, and I just realized it was almost like they were just offering me like, look. So maybe what we're going towards is more of that, but there's literally nothing there. It's just like the bat signal goes up in the sky. If you were to put your hand through the bat, like there's nothing there, but it can be
No, it's a
attached
hologram.
to
It's a
energies,
projection.
right? Yeah.
It can be attached, well, who's ever projecting the hologram,
Yeah, but it's
yeah,
not
is
there.
it's not there, right? It's not a
Yeah,
physical actual being or a physical ship or there, that kind of thing. Because um, who knows? Who knows? And I'm just saying, that could be something that I wouldn't put it past any of these powers that be that are fighting for their life now to do, to do something like that. Who knows? Use discernment. Yeah, and be aware that that kind of thing can happen for sure. Um, and I believe that we are moving. We've moved over. Moved through and over the into the timeline. I guess you could say of where we're moving into the higher planes, where we've crossed the threshold, where we've changed timelines from not not having a good outcome to having, well, I mean, there's never an outcome, it never ends. We just keep on going, but to where there was a timeline, I understand, where it didn't go so well, it didn't go so well for us here.
yeah.
So we moved on,
Carol,
we've crossed that threshold, I understand. What's that?
Carol asked a good question, and I want you to answer first because you said that you've been in your dreams working with projections and moving things. And
Yeah.
she asked what will be the purpose of holographic projections.
Well, there could be lots of purposes, but one that comes to mind, or what I understand, is um, to scare the masses, to make people think that that extraterrestrials, period, are negative, and that we shouldn't trust them, and they're here to take over, just like the movies, right? I mean, how many positive ET extraterrestrial movies are there? Very small amount compared to negative ETs, right?
Mhm.
So, so that's what I understand that they would want to use that for, and not just with extraterrestrials. It could be a lot of things, but uh, I understand it's been used for. I mean, I'm sure they use it to this day in the CIA and things like that for whatever they want to use it for. I mean, Ashley, you saw the reptilian holograms. I mean, extraterrestrials use holograms all the time,
Hmm.
and what Ashley was talking about, I was sharing with her that recently I've seen a lot of. I've been in a liminal state or the out of body state, either one, where it's very real, realer than here, and I'm working with those holographic images that are just floating in front of you, in front of me, and I'm working with those. Actually, and I'm also there was another memory where I'm on a kind of like a holodeck type of thing where I'm practicing something like jujitsu or something like that with others, and I can in the we stop
Jiu-jitsu.
the
Were you
simulation.
good? Was it
I was,
awesome? Were you good and was it
I
awesome?
was, I was so proud of myself. Yeah, yeah. That's what that's what came to my jujitsu. I don't know why that came to mind. I know nothing here about jujitsu. I can barely say it, but it was that kind of thing. And so the simulation, is ended, and I ended, and I see the screen. I'm standing there talking to to people in the room. It was crazy. It was so real. So those types of things, holograms, we're moving into that, reality, into those times when we'll be using holograms. We use them now
Mhm.
all the time. Beings are using, our Earth, our space programs, and government, and things like that, military and extraterrestrials are using them all the time now. Corporations. It's just that us little people down here who live normal lives don't know what's really going on and the technology that they have. So, in answer to your question, Carol, that was a long answer. I believe it's for if the government's going to use it, that the or the not everyone, but okay, yeah. Thank you, Otonio. Um,
Yeah, well, okay. So with the reptilians, I sort of feel like like I pinged something. Just
oh,
well,
right.
sometimes like I just pinged up something, and then they were like, "Oh, well, she's not doing anything enough for us to actually send reptilians to the house." So we're just gonna see if we can scare her. And
Scare her
really, I
now.
feel like because I feel very protected and I feel like the dragons wanted me to have that experience. So anytime I'm at home and I have an experience that comes in, even if it's scary, and that's like the least of the sort of scary type of things that come up. It's more, I think of it more of like, oh, this is like I'm just paying attention to this because I know I'm not going to be harmed. I might scrape a knee. It might not feel very good, but so that's what that feels like to me, is that the dragons were just giving me this experience for me to know um, what a hologram is, that it can't hurt me, but that it can look real. And I also feel that if I wanted to, I could have, if I had freaked out, then I would have probably opened something and then I would be engaging in communication, right?
Mm,
Because that type of energy is only really going to respond to fear.
mhm.
And then if I'd started thinking like, I don't want to communicate, I don't want to communicate, then what I'm doing is I'm opening sort of an energy field to communicate. So I think of them as sort of fancy cell phones maybe sometimes, is like it's just a mode of communication. That thing is not there, but the energy is there, just like the bat signal. Like that is a communication that is like, we are open for
Right.
whatever Batman does. Isn't he like the least of all of the superheroes? So I don't know what he does, but this is
No.
Mayu has bat ears. I always think she
Oh
has
my
these.
gosh. You have a she Ashley has a new puppy. You have to let us see
Yeah,
her puppy. I
he has
wanna see her
these
puppy.
big, like, bat ears. Look at the screen.
Is she gonna grow into her ears?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
she's adorable.
But the other thing with holograms is, so this is, again, this, everything always comes back to discernment, because technically you could say that our sun is really a projection, that the grand central sun is projecting through our sun, and that is what makes everything that we think is real and what we see around us a projection, and that we are technically holograms, right? But we're communicating with each other, we're just sort of denser versions of it. So we can overcomplicate this hologram thing like all we want, because they're everywhere, and there's different vibrational versions of it, right? So if somebody has malintent to do something to scare somebody, and I feel like what's going to happen is these, just our AI technology is going to start, I mean, it already is really good, but when we talk about disclosure, a lot of different types of disclosure are going to be released. So why everybody wants the aliens to come, and why doesn't everybody believe in aliens? As soon as that one thing happens that's really powerful, the opposite will also happen, right? So if we have some new thing that happens, the paradox of that, some new evil looking thing will also be there. And this is the free will, the choice of, or what are you choosing to believe in, and what is real to you. And if you can operate under the only capital T truth that there is unconditional love, where is the unconditional love emanating from? From who I'm following, from these ships that are going to fly through the atmosphere? Do they make you feel good or not feel good? Or do they light up your cells, like in Sharon's experience? And I think that's why we're always asked to engage in joy, because if we can find joy in our lives from hanging upside down and petting our dog so our cells light up, I mean, that's serotonin, dopamine. That's going to be a more natural way to connect and light up our cells than maybe watching a movie. Although you can watch a comedy show and sort of feel a little bit better and then go do something or whatever. It's just about being really conscious about everything all of the time now.
All the time, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, when I was petting my dog and my cells were lighting up, it reminded me of how important touch is to humans. And, yeah, and that's why we need to hug each other. We need to be hugging each other. We need to be touching. So yeah, we can't let them take that away from us. We need to be hugging and touching and, you know, and just being, um, touching. Touch is very important to us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's why the pandemic
Yeah.
really traumatized a lot of people, especially high schoolers and younger people, that you know, they're all of a sudden separated from their peers, and depression went up a lot because people were really, really isolated. And yeah, there was some good things about that, but that's also a lot to put on kids. And I really feel like people are still integrating the traumas of that, and
Oh,
that
yeah.
nothing is going to go back to normal, because there is no normal. I
No.
mean, there really
Every
is
day
no
is
normal
different.
ever.
No,
Yeah.
every day it changes, every day. Every day, every moment. Yeah. It's, yeah, and it's not just the kids, but people, people in hospitals, people, the elderly too, who
Hmm.
aren't able to have, you know, their have visitors.
Yeah.
We need, yeah, that all of it.
A
Yeah,
lot of
it's
people died alone. Even if you're in,
mhm.
when I was in the Peace Corps, that's like a couple months in, like the first 3 months are training, right? And so I was in my little agriculture group, and we sort of realized that because we're sort of in a new culture, we weren't really being touched by anybody because nobody really knew
Oh,
anybody. And
yeah.
so even though you're staying with this family, and while I was in Paraguay, while Paraguayans are very, very loving, it takes a minute, right? Just like anybody, when you meet somebody new, you don't necessarily like hug them. And
Well,
so
Americans don't, but other cultures do.
yeah, but there
Yeah.
wasn't, so there was just, we just noticed that there was a lack of touching. And so I think, I can't remember who it was, but somebody was like, let's just hug each other. So every time that we came to like reconnect, everybody would just be hugging each other. and was like, I miss
Nice.
hugs. And because it is very much, it is, can be, at least in the beginning, kind of an isolating experience. So yeah, petting. I mean, I get tons of comfort. I was an only child growing up. I pet the animals, and I was lucky enough to have animals. I mean, so imagine if I didn't have dogs or cats or horses or chickens or all of these things to interact with. It would have been pretty lonely.
Right. Yeah. It lights up our cells.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, yeah, I took Michael Sala's latest webinar, and I love him. He, do you know who Michael Sala is?
Mm-mm.
He's been writing books. Oh, that's good, Carol. You had daily interactions with people. That's good. That's good. Yeah, that helps a lot. He's written lots of books on exopolitics, he calls it. And so I really trust his information. He vets everyone he talks to or he interviews, that type of thing. He's been talking about what's been going on for a long time. Um, and his insiders and what he's been getting from all the people that he talks to, he's very active in this realm, this world, is saying that there's over 6,000 inventions that have been suppressed. Um, you know, that has to do with health, that has to do with free energy and things like that. So apparently, those are going to be released within this year and next year, solely released into the collective. Things like treatments for cancer, which we have those, right? The hollow beds, which is holographic, quantum hollow beds, those types of things.
Mhm.
Free energy, all that kind of stuff that we should be having now, but has been taken from us in the last few hundred years. So that's pretty exciting. Over 6,000 inventions. People have been killed over their inventions, and they've been suppressed because this stuff has already been um, invented, right? They're using it.
It'll be interesting to see how that gets released, right? Because if we still have this structure of our healthcare system that people trust, right? So even if those inventions are released, if this other structure, this sort of health structure, I mean, I know we don't all trust it, but if you're, let's just say that you're like in the naturopath lane, right?
Mhm.
If
Right.
your naturopath isn't like, this is the thing, this is going to help your cancer, I don't, it'll be really interesting to see. But I mean, do you see what I mean? Like, we have all these
Yeah.
things, they're good things, we think they're good things, but then you have to experience it, right? So really only cancer patients that like the chemo and the radiation and all these other things that aren't working for them, maybe they would offer themselves up to try these things to see what happens, right? But are you going to go against your doctor's advice unless they say there's nothing for you to do? But I mean, this is just the trick, right? With even releasing things, because what are you going to choose? What are you going to believe? What are you going,
Well, that's the rub right there. Is that's why it's so important to work on our discernment and work on and the more we heal, the better discernment we have.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's that's what this time is all about. Is
Yeah.
being able to have our discernment see through the veil and see through the lies and whatever it is, something that hasn't been working for you. Um, you know, there's no reason why you need to invest your energy and your time, your money, and your energy in it anymore. Yeah. So that's really I find that really exciting.
Yeah. No,
But
I mean,
it has to
we
be slow.
all
I understand.
interact.
Yeah, it has to be a slow thing. I mean, things are coming out slowly now. Things are coming out slowly now. So, but big pharma has to find a way to market things that we've been using to market the natural way, the natural remedies.
Right.
That's and that's what they've been doing. So, but I do my peeps, my spirit team has been putting a lot of light around that and saying it's coming. It's definitely coming.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's in the next couple of years,
Mm-hmm.
which is pretty exciting. I mean, I'm not saying it's full blown because this is going to be taking down a huge, probably the biggest powerhouse on the planet, which would be big pharma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it's so exciting to be here at this time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And if anyone is wondering about the regressive extraterrestrials still being here or not, I understand that they have. There's a few sources, and this was another thing that Michael Salla brought out, that he's heard from over four sources that the regressive extraterrestrials have left the solar system, meaning the regressive Greys and the regressive Draco.
Well, that's
So,
good.
yeah.
We could do without them.
Yeah.
Last time I
Well,
checked, I think my could we do without those guys?
I think we'll be a lot better without them.
Yeah. I wonder.
So,
That's actually really good, though. I wonder. I wonder how people's contact experiences will shift.
I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Oops, I keep hitting my microphone. Speaking of contact, I would like to know if anyone here, or if you actually have come across any of the beings I've come across recently. You've heard that too, Carol? Good. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Uh, recently, I was in I just call it out of my experience because I just wake up and I'm there and it's just as real as here, if not more real. And I'm in a spaceship, I'm in a ship, and I'm having a full blown conversation with my uh, partner there, who I know is there. And we're on a ship, right? And look around and I'm have conscious of me as Sharon, and I say, "Oh, is this a ship?" And he says to me, "Yes," although I can't see him yet. He says to me, "Yes." And so this is how I find my awareness in these experiences. If it's something that I um, am not able to fully see, and I use my hands to feel around, and then it slowly appears to me. And so I was using my hands to feel the person that was in front of me, and I could hear him and telepathically because we're always communicating telepathically. And in it, I felt this really soft textured skin, and then I saw him, and he was cobalt blue colored, cobalt blue, and had really um, bright green eyes. I mean, he was gorgeous, but he startled me so bad that I lost sight again. But I could hear him, but I lost my sight.
Mm-hmm.
And he was bald, and he had textured skin. So if anyone has, I've heard one person, I think that last time I shared this about a month ago, um, said that they had heard of blue beans, but not, I mean, dark cobalt blue, like the color of where our names are. That color was his,
Mm-hmm.
that's how, a little bit darker.
And he had what kind of head?
Bald, textured, textured.
Like bumpy. Oh. Okay, I
No,
get it.
like, not really bumpy, but like a snake skin,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
soft like that. And it was kind of whitish. You could see the texture.
And you forgot
But
to
it was,
ask, who are you? Just kidding.
yeah. I did forget to ask that. I forget that a lot, but
It's okay.
you freaked me out, um, just to see that. Anyway, so that was one,
Oh, he
and,
had green eyes? Is that why the green keeps coming
he
back?
had green eyes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I saw a green bean recently, who had, like, concave head, and light green, like a, almost like a fluorescent green, not dark green, but almost like a fluorescent green. And he had round human eyes. The blue guy, his eyes were, well, they were kind of half closed, so I couldn't tell if they were round or not. But and the green guy had like human, but like a concave head.
Hmm,
Yeah. That's what I've seen recently. And I saw him on holographic screen.
that's
There
cool.
was a lot of stuff around that. I was looking at the screen, and he was. I was in a conference kind of thing, and showing him like moving his head around, kind of like that. And there was other. Oh, and there was a planet on the screen next to him that was surrounded in pink mist. I don't know who that was. So if anyone knows anything about that, please tell me.
Well, I would imagine that with those other, like the other grays and things leaving, that like contracts have been dissolved,
Mm,
and so other beings are able to access and to come in to help make contact. And I think it's worth mentioning that there can be different forms of contact experiences, right? Like somebody could land in the back, somebody could land in the backyard, or you could, there's different levels of contact experience. So even if it's just conscious contact and or you're waking up in a dream, or if you're going into a meditation and these beings are coming to you in meditation, I still feel like it counts. I think some of us are here to have more physical contact experiences. I think Sharon, you're one of those people. Um, I've always asked, I was like, how come I don't get any physical contact experiences? And they're like, you don't need it. That's not, don't worry about it. And I was like, okay.
but I guess I don't take no for an answer. Well, I ask them to show me slowly. I do ask them to show me slowly because I know that I do faint if it's too much for me. I just pass out. But so this is how they're doing it, I guess. I saw, but anyway, that's one too. And I also saw another being who had the same color skin as us, human looking, and he had ridge across here, across his nose, that kind of thing. I swear that Star Trek is really good with there's being because he had a ridge, and I see him just like even better than I see you because he's right there in front of me, and
Mhm.
a ridge across here and across his nose down, and also had ridges, not concave, but ridges coming down the side of his head too, on the side, like side of his head. And he was, I mean, they're all human looking, but just different than us.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
exciting. Now I'm kind of like, I wonder how people's star sessions will change. Because even when I connect with, in doing star sessions for people and their galactic families come in, sometimes there'll be these beings and it's like that planet doesn't exist anymore. They're from outside of the Milky Way galaxy, or they're from in here, or it's like, we don't know. Like humans
Mhm.
don't know where they're from, and they'll have triangle heads, and they'll show me kind of, and they'll explain what they are. There's just so many different species of beings that are out there. It's really fascinating. I would imagine that a lot more stuff is going to open up. I'm excited.
I know, me too. And that's why I was wondering if any people have been seeing any different type beings, um, and seeing more different type beings. Because, like you said, that's I think that's happening. It's happening with us. We've always said we're the disclosure. I think there's a couple comments or questions. Hello, Sharon and Ashley. A comment on the cancer examples. I've been exploring intermittent fasting, autophagy fasting for a few years, healing pre-diabetes, which is working. Oh yeah, Wisdom Wizard. I've started using that. The autophagy fasting from naturopathic friendly research has shown promising things about it fighting cancer, turning on catabolic pathways of body, which is what it needs to kill cancer cells. Nice. Yeah, I've been following this gal, and I have her book called Fast Like a Girl. I've talked about it before on here. And she cured something she had when she was younger. I can't remember what it was, but the doctors just kept giving her doctor just kept giving her pills for it. It wasn't cancer. It was I think it was chronic fatigue syndrome or something like that,
Mhm.
along those lines. And and she just was not getting better, and she was suicidal. She was suicidal until she learned about fasting, and it cured her, saved her life, basically. Yeah, and so she's a doctor now. Her name is Mindy Pels. I think I have her book here. But she talks about, yeah, she talks about that. If anyone's
Hmm.
interested, good stuff. She talks about that women, since are we're built different than men, that women and men need to have have a different fasting regimen, that we can't fast alike. And that's pretty much one of the first things that Yeshua taught me 20 years ago, to over 20 years ago, when we started working together, is about fasting. That's when I was opening, wide open, basically, is when I was fasting, journaling, all that kind of stuff. Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. Well, Wisdom Wizard.
Wisdom Wizard. It's an awesome
Yes.
name. I like
I
it.
think I know who you are. I think I know who you are. Carol Jacobs. I saw Stephanie on here somewhere. Where are you, Stephanie?
Yeah, she
There.
said, I love the mist. The pink one could be unconditional love based on your experience
Oh,
that you had.
yeah. I was surrounded by it was a pink and silver or white mist that was surrounding the planet. So I don't know what that was all about, but that's cool. Carol, I'm beginning to be okay with not seeing the more I relax about it. Nor I
Mm.
think the beings know that I am not really ready to see that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's how
I'm
I was.
so proud of you, Carol.
Oh, I think that would be an yeah, interesting read. Yeah, the fasting book, if you're talking about that, yes, it is. I thought you were Will. Hey, Will. Facebook.
Mhm.
Okay, you're going to switch to YouTube. Okay. Hey, Adele. Hand pink waving. Yes. Um, so there's a lot, I feel there's a lot coming up for us. It's really exciting. And I believe that they're showing us these, my higher self is allowing, my guidance is allowing me to be able to see these beings because they're going to be around us. I've had so many visions of like the Star Wars shows in the bar, where we're sitting around with all these different types of beings as normal, just normal.
Mhm. Yeah, that'll be cool.
Hmm. I see it in our lifetime. That's another thing is one of Michael Sala's insiders. He's in the army, and he is allowed to. His name is he goes by JP. He's allowed to, and he has shows a lot of proof of who he is. He goes on these missions um, with extra where he's taken to extraterrestrial. bases and underground here on the planet and stuff like that. But he was saying that it won't be that long. He predicts the end of this year or this year, end of this year, I think he said, where we're going to be seeing ships in the sky and they're just and after a while they're going to be just like airplanes to us. Oh, there's another ship. Oh, there's I wonder who that is. Oh, there's a plane. After a while it's just going to be normal.
It'll be, it'll be fun, more fun, maybe.
Well, yeah, I mean, think about it. We have so much proof. So many people are getting so many videos that we can't expect the government to tell us that they're real.
Well, I don't
It's
think
gonna
we can expect the government to tell us anything.
No, we can't. Definitely
Real or
not.
unreal.
But a lot of people go by that, Ashley.
I know, I know.
You know, when the government says it's, which is, I've, I've always been anti-establishment, anti-government myself. So anything the government tells me, says, I tend to believe the opposite.
Discernment. Some of
Yes.
it's real, some of it's not. I mean, and
Yeah.
that's where the power is, right? Like, um, I mean, even if like if you know manipulative people, right? Like they're always giving you partial truths, right? So it's really about like detangling,
Right.
untangling what's true and what's not true. So again, we're back to we're just
Well,
always back to
well, just
discernment.
like anything that we share, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take what resonates and leave the rest.
And leave the rest. Yeah, always. So Adele says one has been on a neighborhood web cab. Prineville is close. You talking about a UAP or UFO? I guess they're called UAPs now.
What unidentified
Identified unidentified aerial phenomenon.
oh
That's the new acronym for
UAP UAP. I like calling them UFOs, and I'm gonna have to call them UAPs.
oh, a little person. A little person. Okay, I lost you, Adele. Are you talking to someone else in the feed that I didn't see?
On a
Um,
door webcam, somebody saw, I don't know, like a fairy, a gnome, an
oh, an
alien
alien.
webcam.
Oh, oh, oh.
Yeah, people always get a lot of activity on their webcams. I get nothing. I get cars driving by. I check
Have
it
you
sometimes. Does
have you
it
asked for it?
being come to the front door go off? I think I just everything so much stuff is just about focus for me. So I just think they're just like, we're just no. We're not gonna have you go down the path of having a light being show up. Just no.
You don't want to add that to it.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
okay. So,
cool.
yeah, a little guy that looked like a man but moved different. Oh, wow. Okay.
You should share that
Yeah.
on Sharon's page or in your group if you still have that one group going with the orbs.
Yeah, the Orb Sisters
Yeah.
on Facebook. Yeah,
Hmm.
Adele, if you want to go there and on Facebook, it's called the Orb Sisters. My sister and I have a group there where we share videos of anomalies and videos and photos too. That would be cool. I'd love to see that. Okay, well, about government info stuff reminds me of what Obi-Wan Kenobi said in Star Wars, only a Sith speaks in absolutes. More enlightened you are, the less just one way type thinking one becomes. Yeah, true. There's always a gray. There's a gray area. Yeah, that makes sense. I know, I love Star Wars. Oh, and the new season of Mandalorian is coming out. Yes. I'm hooked on those. I love the Mandalorian um, series. Yes. So let's see what else. What else? Uh, I have seen the in the last year. I saw her on the first time she appeared to me, and she said my name was yeah Stephanie. Yes, I know you like it too. Um, Mandalorian's really good. Uh, she called my name. I saw her in the liminal state, just clear as day. The large-headed female, bald female, with in a robe, yellow and gold robe. I've seen her 3 times, but 2/22/22 was when she appeared to me. So that's been a year and a couple days. Isn't that interesting? 2/22/22.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was a big day.
That was a portal, for
Yeah.
sure.
All of the dragons like that day.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a big Dragon's Gate day. And it's
With
also, I don't think it's halfway between, but that it's always coming up. To me, it always marks a point where attention is brought to the equinox. Yeah, not the solstice, but the equinox, because we're basically a month out from, less than a month out from the equinox, and that's always a really big frequency shift. So I feel like the energies that you all have been sort of experiencing and integrating in from, even the closing out of 2022, and then what's been happening in January and February, it's sort of just another kind of a nodal point to pay attention to, because the energies are, they're just kicking up. They're just kicking
yeah,
up. And the equinox is always a really big day.
yeah. I'm anyone local. I'm playing the Crystal Singing Bowls. I'm doing a event in Beaverton on that Saturday for the spring equinox. Stephanie, in your neighborhood in Beaverton. So if anyone is local, I'll have that up on my on my website and everything soon. If you want to come, bring your man. I'd love to meet your man. Yeah, but I realized with the it's that Saturday of the equinox. I think it's the 19th, Saturday or Sunday, I believe. Um, let me look. Uh, yeah, so it's the Sunday. Sorry, the 19th. I've been trying to draw the lady who came to me with the big head, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I can't get her eyes right. And when I was thinking about it not too long ago, I got this impression, this telepathic intuit. Use your eyes. Look at your eyes. And then it hit me. I believe she's me, a future
Mm-hmm.
me. Yeah.
That's what I was getting when you were talking about it.
Oh,
I
okay.
was like, yeah,
Oh,
it's you.
see, takes me a while.
That's okay. I would call it like it's a multidimensional aspect of you, and if she's coming to you that way, I would say it feels like what the beings call the station of identity. So it's an aspect of you that's wanting to integrate like into this body, right? More like, so I feel like we have these stations of identity, which are multidimensional aspects of ourselves. And so they're coming in to integrate. So this is sort of like, I think you've had experiences like this before, and I have, where you're working with a being really intensely, and then they become a part of you, and it feels like they're gone, but they're not gone.
Mhm.
They're just so close to you, like they've integrated
They've
into you.
integrated. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So then it's like, why did everybody leave me? And it's like, we didn't. And they like come out of you. And they're like, we're right here, but we're here. Like,
Right. We're
and I'm
within
like,
you.
yeah.
We're a part of you now. We're a
Yeah.
part of you now. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is,
Yes.
it's different. I mean, it's like that is the point, right? But it also feels a little bit different to me. And so sometimes, like especially if I'm connecting to my galactic family or something, I will ask them to almost like to connect differently outside of me because I need something more more intense.
Mhm.
Um and if I need that every once in a while.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes total sense because I've felt that too and known that for a little while now, especially with Yeshua. Yeah.
Yeah.
And and we all have that as we move up. Yay, Stephanie. Adele says, I think you're right about, well, thank you. Who, Ashley or me or both of us? Right about. Um,
About the green faced people that make a body. Well, I'm confused.
what about the green faced people that make a body well? I'm not sure what that means. If you could elaborate on that, Adele.
I do want to say something. I feel like some people, like Sharon, it sounds like you've been feeling more connected lately.
Um, I, yes, I guess you could say that. I believe that I'm feeling more, I'm having more tangible, more experiences. I'm bringing up more memories, having more experiences because I put that intention out there. So, yes.
Okay. So I guess I want to say, like, with all the solar flares and all these energies that are coming on, especially if you're working on integrating something that's going on, because I almost feel like I'm having reverse galactic experiences recently. Like the beings that have been coming to me are like embodied beings, which is not aren't what I mean by embodied beings is something that has had a body and lived on this planet, like the Anubis Collective, or like Kuan Yin and things like that. And no, and I'm not like dissing them, obviously, but to me, in my channeling and in my preferred like frequencies, I like working with just light, just beings of light that haven't had a body. That feels less dense to me, and it just feels like easier to work with. But the whole point about all of this is if any of you are having stuff that's coming up, that stuff needs to be integrated. And so sometimes it can make us feel like we're disconnected, but you're never disconnected. And there is no such thing as separation. But what the beings have been showing me, it's like if you have to fix something in the car and you sort of have to take all these car parts out to get to the one part before you put it all back in. So sometimes there's just like a pause where maybe a lot isn't going on, or the way in which you're connecting is about to go through a massive shift. And so because it feels new and not what you're used to. So just saying for everyone that's listening and going through a lot of things, because a lot of people in my courses and people that I've been seeing are like, I feel disconnected. I don't know what's going on. And it's like,
Mhm.
there's a lot of shifts that are going on. And so just trust that you're connected and maybe you're being asked to connect differently. And so just ask, maybe show me how to connect, or show me what's going on, or help me understand what's going on, right? Just the frequency of your question is how the consciousness of what you're trying to connect to can meet you. Which, so for example, what the hell is wrong with me versus can you show me what is happening right now because I don't feel
Right.
well or something. Like even me getting sick yesterday, and I never get sick and I just don't feel well. But when I kind of tune into it and when I was laying there, I was like, ugh, I don't want, like, I just want to stay here. Like something is going on in my body and something is shifting and something is
Right.
shifting out. So it's yeah, like what Carol's saying, a lot of things are coming together for me, like the dots are getting connected, more like I'm getting out of the way. So sometimes we are in our own way. Sometimes really big pieces are going to, like those gears, when they clunk in, are going to lock, but you've been spending a lot of time
Mhm.
for that. And also remember, whenever you're connecting to these higher frequencies of energies, that will bring up stuff, and that's always a lot to integrate. I just had an experience where the beings have been asking me like, are you okay not having children in this lifetime? And I've been responding like, I don't know, because I don't know. And what I needed to do was I needed to release, I had 3 contracts with these souls that had wanted to come through me. And so the Divine Mother collective came up, and I remember I was saying actually the Hail Mary. It was like, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you. Blessed art thou among women. Blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. And so they were helping me basically reverse birth these 3 energies, and there was a part of me that thought like, oh, my womb is gross or something, like what is going on? And it was like, no, like, who wouldn't want to be in this womb space? This is a magical space, but like the timing is no longer. And so I just had to basically be like, okay, I'm okay not bringing a child into this planetary plane, but I had to sort of dissolve and let go of these contracts, but I had to like do it in this physical like level, right? Because I can know a lot of things and be like, oh yeah, but like the body and the female body in this body sort of has to go and accept that, and that's kind of a lot. And so my mom just came to visit, and she literally said to me, I feel so sorry for you. And this is not something that she normally says, I mean, exactly like this. She was, I feel so sorry for you. You don't have any siblings and you have no children, which is basically her being afraid of her own death and that I'll be like all alone. But family comes in a lot of different forms. But what I'm saying is like, for me, I had this experience with beings that came in to help me sort of do this. But there were 3 galactic beings that were there, because there were these, I asked to see them, and they were just these like 3 like pillars of light. We weren't going to get into names or where they were from, because they were not wanting me not to be attached or even necessarily to connect to them or channel them or anything like that. It was just like a reverse birth, letting go. But that happened just like 2 weeks ago, and that's going to take a little bit of time to integrate, right? So it's just really fascinating how time works, and how we have to, when we are having these multidimensional experiences, those have to integrate. So that,
Yeah.
and then my body will shift again, because my body also started gaining all of this weight, like a lot, in like the last 3 months. Like, what the hell is going on? And that part of that was coming up, like my body was trying to hang on to this subconsciously, like these sort of pregnancies that aren't going to happen, and to kind of like release them. So when my mom says those things after I have this experience, then it's a reminder, because things start to shift in our field. And that didn't upset me, and I know what it has to do with. But when we have these experiences, the universe shows us in our own sort of field or hologram or whatever you want to call it. I prefer the term like field, our own energy field. It shows up. So then I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm not gonna have, we can ignore the I feel sorry for you part, because that's neither
Yeah.
here nor there. But it was basically getting reflected to me like, okay, you're not having kids, like you're not birthing children, right? And that's sort of been a message that's been coming in, but like the body is accepting it. So those are kind of like more of the experiences that I've been having, and I think that these are really, there's a lot of big stuff that's coming up for people when we feel empowered to go through these um experiences, however they show up for us, whether they're happening at work and they feel more 3D or multidimensional. It all has to get integrated into our body, regardless of the dimension that they're coming from. And sometimes that takes time and patience, because our body is really doing a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And that can explain why we don't feel so well sometimes, because
Mhm.
it can be kind of like a detox.
Yeah.
You know how you feel crappy during a detox
Yeah.
because you're bringing stuff up, right? Yeah. Adele, oh, they told me to go to sleep when they'd fix me, and when I woke up, I was well. I get it now. Okay.
Yeah. Every night I go to
Yeah.
sleep, I always ask for the beings to work on me, even if I'm totally fine. I mean, that's how I go to sleep. I like get into my thing, I do some light language, and I'm like, all right, I'm ready for whatever. Um, I feel that
Strap in.
yeah, I feel like every night we go to sleep, we're dying and then we're rebirthing ourselves every
Yeah,
day. And so everything gets to be new again.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does feel like that. That's why I love remembering my journeys because I know,
Yeah.
um,
Because it's the ultimate letting go, right? Is like, do I feel safe? And I struggled with sleep a lot, right? And I had to do a lot of work on past traumas to feel safe enough in my body to be able to go to sleep and in my environment and sort of to get it in a way so that I could close my eyes and go to sleep. And so what I did, I've always just asked the beings, like, come sit with me until I fall asleep.
aw,
Yeah.
yeah, you probably don't even have to ask, but I understand we have to ask.
Yeah.
But, okay, well, we have gone for an hour and a half now. That's what I scheduled for this. If anyone Does anyone have anything else they would like to share or, um,
Get
ask?
in under the wire.
Yeah,
Got
get it
5
in under the wire, right? Yeah, because, I don't know, I'm just really excited about these times and, galactic disclosure. I mean, 20 years ago, I never would have thought that this would be happening this soon, but it's happening. It's really happening. Or 25 years ago. 30 years ago, I was asleep, totally asleep. All I wanted to do was party. Party, work, party, party, party. That's what I wanted to do. Yeah. Um, so thank you. Thank you, Adele. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here, everyone. So my last words would be discernment, enjoy life. Like my guide said to me one time on a EVP, when I asked for a message for my day, he said, have fun. So that's my guide or my guidance or my message. Have fun. What about you,
Yeah.
Ashley?
I think that's a good one. I was out practicing the didgeridoo the other day. Mayu and Mahana both really love it. They
Oh,
get
I
all
bet.
close to it. Um, and and I'm not good at it, but it's really clearing for my energy field, and it's also really fun to play and to practice. And so one of the questions that they were asking me basically to ask people is like, when was the last time that you tried something new? And so if you haven't tried anything new for a while, then maybe find something to try new or to do something new and to be okay with not being an expert at it, because I feel like we reach a point in life where we're not allowed to be new at anything. Like that's reserved for children because for children everything is new, and then you basically have to figure out what you're good at and then specialize in that and not do anything else when we're really designed to explore. So I would encourage
Mhm.
everyone, as Sharon said, to find what brings you joy and to try something new to see if you can do it joyfully and if it does bring you joy, and to see if that critic is going to be there that telling you that you're not good at it, because it doesn't really matter, because if it brings you joy you should just do it because it's fun and we're allowed to have fun.
We are.
Yeah.
Yes,
And then
definitely.
next month come back and tell us all the new things that you tried and how fun it was.
Yes, yes. Oh, and take our classes. And by the way, I have a course starting March 11th on automatic writing and channeling, and Ashley has her course coming up. So,
Mhm.
yeah, take our take our courses.
Yeah. I
You
have
have our
one.
information. Go ahead.
Yeah. I just have a round of one-on-one coaching that's coming up, and I encourage anybody to sign up for a discovery session. And my next,
Nice.
I always have a wild card course every year. I always teach 9 weeks of channeling, 9 weeks of light language, but this year's wild card course, which starts the first week of May, is called Gaia and the Galactics. So we're going to be channeling different beings every week that are both Gaia. They're from Gaia and the Galactics. I don't know, but it should be pretty awesome.
Yes, sounds like it. Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone. Thank you for being here, and we will see you next time.
Next time. Bye.
Oh gosh.
Serotonin, dopamine.